Man, I just remember sitting there. I just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe how I ended up where I was. Alone, scared, full of fear. Just in disbelief where my life had ended up, man. Full of drugs, full of alcohol. No base. No base. You know, and if you look back, I just remember my life from the beginning. It was perfect. It was perfect. Everything but the white picket fence, you know? I was good in sports. I was young. Experienced a high level of success when I was young in sports. And, you know, I remember one time I was at a regional baseball tournament, and I used to have the players from the opposing team come to me. They were saying, "Man, you're that shortstop from Colorado." And as I sat there wondering that night how I got there from there to this point where I was, such despair just baffled me. If you go back through my life, you know, it all happened one night. My freshman summer, everything was going well. Life was good, successful in sports again, you know, school. My dad came up and he says, before we went to school that morning, he said, "I need to talk to you boys." And I thought, man, I didn't clean the house. So that whole day I just wondered, what did he need to talk to me about? When we got home, he told me. That was it right there. He said, "Your mom and I have decided to get a divorce." And it just rocked me, rocked my world. Because this whole time, you know, they were the strong pillar, this mountain of success. And I never even saw it coming, just totally blindsided me. I didn't know how to deal with it. I thought it was my fault. I thought, man, if I would have just cleaned the house, maybe they'd still be together. And at that point, things continued to mount. I didn't care. Lost interest in sports. Although I continued to succeed and do well, I never cared. Started school, I was doing well, and by the end of my senior year, I barely graduated. I mean, I needed my last class, my last hour. And I went on to college. You know, this feeling of unworthiness, it just filled me up, man, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I went to college, took a basketball class because I knew, you know, the basketball coach was going to be the instructor. Sure enough, he was. And I was killing it one day, and he came up to me and he said, "Son, I want you to come try out for my team." I'd made it. I had the coach from a pretty big school come and ask me to try out for his team. And I did. And, you know, the day before practice, he came on me, called me, and he said, "I need to talk to you." And he said, you can't make the team because you're Proposition 48, which meant I didn't score high enough on the ACT. If you go back, when I was in high school, after my dad had told me about this divorce, I started drinking and using drugs. And the night before the ACT test, I got so drunk that when I went to the test, I was still drunk. And, you know, it came back to bite me and haunt me. From that point on, I didn't care. I didn't care about life. I didn't care about me. I didn't care about anybody. Dropped out of college. I started using heavily. Started smoking weed, drinking. At 22, I had a son. You'd think that would stop you. That just gave me momentum. Because then I just got so full of fear. I was scared. How am I going to be a dad? I can't even be this. I can't be that. unworthiness just took over. I continued and continued. Several attempts to try and stay sober, it didn't work. I used to tell my mom, I need something, Mom. I need something in my life to quit, to make me stop. And I couldn't, because I was just so scared. After the final attempt, man, I remember I was sitting down in the basement. I'd been on Colfax Street in Denver for 3 days straight, spent all my money. Went back, sitting in the basement, and a friend of mine was sitting upstairs. And I went up there, and she says, what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? You just going to sit down there in that basement on your hands and hope it goes away? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have any answers because I tried to do it on my own for so long and it didn't work. None of it worked. So I decided to take her suggestion. And that was the day that I decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. It was the best decision I ever made. I started doing stuff. I started listening to the program. I started listening to what the pastors had to say. I started reading that Bible, man. Psalm 116 talks about death had wrapped its ropes around me. And they had it's exactly what had happened. I had given myself up for dead. And I said a foxhole prayer that night, and I just said, God, please, please. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So if you would just save me, just save me. Sure enough, my friend that day saved me. She told me what the answer was. The answer was God. And I'll tell you, man, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. 4 months ago, I got baptized. And it's just like, it's energizing. It's crazy, man. You want to read that Bible. You go from being a drug addict, alcoholic, shame, fear, guilt, unworthiness, top of your game. And I mention that because, even though I didn't succeed, the higher you go without a strong base, the farther you're going to fall. And I now realize that, Satan attacks us in our anointing. And our anointing is always our human weakness. My human weakness was fear. Anger. I was full of anger. I don't have that today. Look at this smile. I get to smile today. I get to be happy. It's all because of God. It's all because I now receive His love that I can give to other people. I can give to my kids. It says that not only does He restore, but He replenishes all that the locusts have eaten. And it's exactly what's happened to me. It's amazing what's happened to me in the 4 years that I've decided to turn my will and my life over to God. I'm Rob, and I am second.